years have come and gone since that day. How many years have I waited for this moment? For the one that stood alone against the storm. For the one they called.
Welcome back to Final Fantasy XIV, and we are at the Shadowbringer. Shadowbringer expansion. And as soon as the video's over, somebody tried calling me. Do not disturb. Yeah. Second time we've seen that cutscene in this playthrough. I guess what? So then I could check to see the recording's working. But yeah, Shadowbringer and Endwalker are the two expansions which I know quite a bit. Just because I've played their dungeons so many times. I've also noticed that the Warrior of Light in the cutscene doesn't use any magic classes. Let's see, 1 range, 2 tanks, and 2 melee. $385, that's what we already have, so it gets to go. Good news, Edgar, we had a stroke of luck in our search for that beacon. Apparently, our colleagues have stumbled across a hidden path leading down into the hollows around the base of the Crystal Tower. The path I doubt we ever have found it had the Ironworks and the Suns not added their numbers to the party. Thanks to them, we have eager eyes aplenty down there, checking under rocks and peering into every nook and cranny. Still, it sounds like there's a lot of ground to cover. My thoughts exactly. The sooner we find this beacon, the sooner you can travel to wherever it is that this mysterious voice is coming from. And the sooner we can work out how to help our friends. We have to find a way to wake them up, and before the Empire comes calling again, meaning we have no time to lose. There's a boat in North Silvertier waiting to ferry people to the site, so let's be on our way. Yeah, it's been quite a while since the last time I recorded. Because of the cut in my mouth, and I've been waiting for it to heal. In that time, a game came out, RoboQuest, which I thought about recording, but I couldn't help but play it, and it took me 2 days to get through it. Pretty good for a roguelike. Even though I had it in early access, so I had some practice at it. But when I played it, they changed a lot, especially the system. So yeah. And the base camp. Though it still changes as you go through, it doesn't change like how it used to. Heading to the survey site, sir. It's on the eastern shore of the lake. And the swiftest way to get there is by boat. Sorry if you hear me constantly fidgeting with the filter. Edgar, the search continues, but I have no doubt we shall find this beacon of yours. We'll find the beacon! The air here weighs heavily upon me. Tis little wonder, I suppose, when standing in the shadow of such an imposing structure. I note that you're surrounded by crystals. The towering edifice is the outer wall of the city tower's foundation. The labyrinth of the ancients is, to be precise. I've detected no slavering beast in the vicinity my sister expected. The Archons needs our help. Next to that, even matters of the heart doesn't seem to matter. The Ironworks is out in force, Master Garland's orders.
Look how many people there are! Should we get to it then? Pick up anything that seems the least bit device-like, and we'll make ourselves a pile.
Picks up obvious trap.
Well, if it isn't the hero of the hour, maybe you'll change our look. We've found bugger all without you.
Biggs! Wedge!
Aye, aye. Well, we could hardly say no to a call for aid from the Scions. Jesse called it the chief of some other business, so we'll be working twice as hard to make up for his not being here.
Thrice as hard, even.
Thank you, both of you. I'm sure we'll find that beacon in no time.
I'm not seeing anything out here. Do you reckon you could squeeze in there, Wedge?
And get stuck halfway? No, thank you.
I could try if you like.
Shit.
Taru, no! We couldn't ask you to do that.
Oh, I'll be fine. This receptionist is not afraid to get her hands dirty.
Edgar picks up obvious trap.
Sorry, I meant to say, the scholars haven't finished their preliminary assessment of the site yet, so we're not supposed to venture too far in. What's that you got there? Now that looks promising.
Isn't that the Ironworks symbol? Counterfeiters?
Now I have you.
You are right.
What's happening?
The counterfeiter has got him.
Stay with me. Focus on my voice.
Well, Edgar, bring the three.
Let expanse contract. Eon become instant.
Well, Edgar, gather the three behind him.
This must be it. The device. Oh, this is supposed to happen.
Throw wide the gates that we may pass.
Oh, safe journey, warrior of light. Find our friends and bring them home.
Lots of shiny.
The dawn's light will shine again.
Oh, do not look at me so.
You're slaves to a tyrant. There's no freedom in that.
This is one battle you cannot fight. Away with you. Go!
Spirited accounts of yours comes in no good.
We did everything right. Everything that was asked of us, and still it came to this.
Up, bye, all. Whoever his name was again. Brace for impact!
Your time has not yet come.
Great. Everything's purple.
From endless dreams I awake. Something vague, yet urgent, calls me to action once more.
It's gonna be hell to get back to for level up quests.
Rare to meet someone out here who's not a peddler themselves. What brings you into the wilds this time of night? Well, if it ain't the oldest joke in the book. Me granddad, God's rest his soul, used to tell that one to the barman at kicking out time. And when, pray tell, did we last have a dark night? You rotten old drunk, yet he'd reply. Over 100 bleeding years ago, that's when. You got that look down to a T. I'd almost think you meant it. Ah, got to you, did they? Poor beggar. That explains it then. Well, I've roads to travel and wares to sell, but you best hurry along to the town nearby. Just head east through the trees and aim for the Shining Tower. You'll find the place soon enough. 'Tis the biggest settlement for malms around. Go on now, friend. They'll take good care of you in the Crystarium.
Dizzying heights it rises, the gleaming spire. Its tip threatening to pierce the blinding canopy. There, it will all begin anew. Between dark and light, the pure and the corrupt. The one true struggle.
Well, before we continue, who shall we bring on our journey? I will select him when we get a chance. Companion.
Halt! Every face in this city I know. Yours, I do not. This is the threshold of the Crystarium, stranger, and I am its gatekeeper. If you would enter, you will answer my questions. From where do you hail? Do you take me for a fool? No such place exists. Had you given me an honest answer, I would not have barred your way. We care little here for a person's place of origin, but instead, you chose concealment. And I will not suffer you to pass. That one had eaten. It must have gulped down the whole hand, ring and all.
Everything all right, Captain?
Quite all right, my lord. Just a stray sin eater, and a weak one at that.
I see. Weak or not, we should be on the lookout for more. But I see you've met my guest. I will escort him to the Crystarium myself, if you've no objections.
Another of your mysterious friends, is it? I should have known. Very well. I'll inform the others your guest is to be given the run of the city. Pray forgive my less than cordial welcome. May the rest of your stay with us be a pleasant one.
Come with me. I will answer whatever questions you have when we are somewhere more private. Right then, before we plunge into the wheres and wherefores, let me first thank you for answering my summons. I had intended to bring you directly to my personal quarters, but I fear my aim was slightly off. That you are still able to make the crossing unharmed is a great relief. And so, we come to the question of where. The realm in which you now find yourself belongs to one of the 13 reflections, or shards. The first, to be precise, even if its inhabitants are largely oblivious to the fact. As to wherefore, having been awarded the rather grandiose title of Crystal Exarch, I, in my capacity as caretaker of the Crystarium, thought to seek the aid of you and your companions. An inkling, yes. I can only beg your forgiveness. Matters here forced my hand. But all shall be explained in due course, I promise you. Let us begin with the glaring skies up above. Here in the first, the world has been all but consumed by primordial light. It began a century ago, by this realm's reckoning. A luminous flood swallowing everything in its path. More than 9/10 of this star was lost. And the fortunate few who survived are hounded by abominations born of that catastrophe even now. Sin Eaters, we call them. The creature you saw earlier was one such monstrosity. It was to save the first from this menace that I learned to bridge the rift between worlds. That I might call upon the aid of the greatest of heroes. Though it meant depriving a world of its champion, I had to try. For in saving the first, you would bring salvation to the source as well. But what manner of host harangues his guests in the middle of the road? Let us continue our talk within the Crystarium.
I never started my timer.
city. The sole sanctuary for the living in a world all but resigned to oblivion. Each stone was laid with hope. The town itself a symbol, a monument to defiance in the face of death. No would-be hero could fail to answer its call. For who among us does not yearn for salvation?
Up now we can have the minions. Here you are. Well, we are. Welcome, my friends, to Tristorium. Add it to the pile. Oh, that was only the weapon. Yeah, Edgar already got a war scythe. Now, a full and frank discussion in the privacy of my study would seem to be in order. But I think a conversation would be more meaningful were you first to gain a firmer grasp of the situation here. To that end, I would like you to visit a few of the Castorum's civic leaders and glean something of this world and its predicament. As you see, this path will take you directly to the Aetheryte, a convenience in which I am sure you are only too familiar. Being the rightful object of my summoning spell, you should, in theory, be able to reach all of the way back along your etheric trail and find the connection and the source, believe it or not. I strongly suggest you complete this attunement before venturing any further. After you have done so, walk up the steps next to the Aetheryte and head out to the left to arrive in the Crystal Mean. This is where you'll find our collective of crafters and gatherers, as well as their spokeswoman, Cassilis, one of the people I should like you to meet. I still gotta do requests on my own one. Another is Morin. To reach him and his Cabinet of Curiosities, you'll want to avoid the innermost steps, take the exit on the left, and simply continue straight down until you come to the large doors at the end of the path. The third and final person I would like to meet is Bragi, our man in charge of trade and distribution. He is to be found in the markets, which you can access from the opposite side of the Aetheryte Plaza. And seeking out each of my colleagues, you will visit the major districts of the city and hopefully gain a feel for the place. I trust my directions were simple enough. Very good. I can see the layout of the Casarum owes more to historic necessity than planning, but I'm sure you'll learn its twists and turns before long. In all honesty, the true challenge may be in finding the right way to approach its citizens. As you discovered during your encounter with the captain, the people of this world are unaware of the existence of other stars and will struggle to accept the truth of your origin. That being the case, when they ask where you hail, as they inevitably will, I suggest you claim to share a homeland with the Crystal XR. There is an unspoken rule here about peering too deeply into that particular mystery. When you finish making the rounds, pray meet me in the large courtyard at the center of town. Until then, I see Netherite shard, Ethernet shard. By focusing your senses, you detect the flow of vast, distant currents of ether. Your connection to these is faint but stable, and should allow you to deliver these rights in the source. At least it's not. Last time I was here was when 6.5 came out, and there was a lot of people here. Excuse me, sir. Are you recently come to the city, perchance? I'm quite familiar with our civic roles, you see, and what I mean to ask is, have you brought any books with you? A rumbled scroll, even a scrap of scribbled on parchment. My apologies, literature is something of an exception of mine, as well as a profession. Library Morin at your service, and this humble collection is known as the Cabinet of Curiosity. As your powers of perception have likely informed you, my colleagues and I are responsible for curating all manners of tomes, documents, and other vehicles for the written word. As horrific as the loss of life and land wrought by the flood unquestionably was, the damage to recorded knowledge was no less catastrophic. If you do all we can to preserve that wisdom survived. But tell me, what brings you to the today? Looking for any titles in particular? Mayhap a spot of academic research. Oh, so you are interested in modern history? Splendid. A thorough review of recent events can often yield novel perspectives. I quite agree. If you prefer something visual to accompany the accounts, then I think I have an illustrated book for children somewhere. Just a moment, and I'll fetch it for you. Here's the picture book. Here we are. Would you like to pull up a chair and make yourself more comfortable at home? On with the lesson, then. A 100 years ago, or near enough not to matter, villains known as Warriors of Light slew the Shadowkeeper, the Steward of Darkness. In the wake of this tainted deed, light began to pour into the world as if from unseen cracks. It pooled and swallowed without cease, until the day an enormous, blinding wave rose up and swept across our star. We call this calamity the Flood of Light. Everything it touched was leached of life and vigor, leaving naught behind but a luminous wasteland. Yet, just when it seemed that all would be lost, a savior appeared before us. The Oracle of Light. She stood twixt us and approaching doom, and by her power did she stay the flood. Thus was Norvert, and Norvert alone spared the fate of erasure. Tragedy would, however, arrive in another form. From the blasted emptiness descended horrors of strange and terrible aspects to bedevil the few folk who survived. These sin eaters were light incarnate, and their fulgurant presence stole the night from Norvert's sky. Even now they circle the remaining bastion of civilization, ever on the hunt for us, ever hungering for our flesh. And thus did the world become what it is. Should you ever wish to hear the tale again, I would be glad to retell it for you. Or if you would rather I speak on other matters, that too would be my pleasure. I should be glad of your company. Your exchange with Morin has taught you about the flood of light. I honestly don't remember which way I went the first time when I played this. I think I went from last to first. I swear I see some screen tearing, but this might be my imagination. Yep, this is where I thought I was going to see the most people. One day I'll be doing that. One day. But that won't be for a long, long time. Rare to see a place so well stocked with goods, isn't it? But not here. I'm going to guess you're new to our fair city. Oh, for what it's worth, you've chosen a fine sanctuary. The Exarch can throw up a barrier if the Sin Eaters come knocking, so it's a damn sight safer in here than it is out there. Safer and more civilized too, thanks to us in the main. We work together to produce materials and resources and craft the goods which makes city life possible. This is the place to visit if you need a coat mended or a kettle forged. Just don't go thinking we'll all be handed to you on a plate like those modern layabouts here in the Castorium where you work for a living. Though I see you're no stranger to honest labor, you won't have that whiff of indolence about you like some folks admit. Still, I can't quite put down your profession. Or is it your form? Only Exarch countrymen, you say? I see. I don't know, work twice as hard to make you feel welcome. Our city wouldn't even exist if it wasn't for him, and any friend of his is a friend of ours. Surely quite incredible when you think about it. They say this grand magic summoned the crystal tower into existence, pulled the entire thing out of thin air. Was it long before droves of refugees began congregating around its base? desperate for shelter after losing their home to the flood. And that's how the Crystallorium began. At the Exarch's invitation, buildings started going up, and with the help of some curious relics brought forth from the tower, the place gradually expanded into the thriving metropolis you see today. The city stood here for decades now, and yet the oldest among us, Sir the Exarch, looks exactly the same as he did back then. He's indeed a man of many mysteries, but if all his secrecy, he has never yet let us down. So if he and you wish to remain silent about your shared homeland, and then the folks will respect your wishes for privacy. I am ever more than a little curious to see a crafty talents you might be hiding. If you ought to contribute on that front, be sure to come back and visit once you've had a chance to settle in. Just ask for classes, and I'll find you a night here in the Crystal Mean. You can help us keep the cogs of the city greased and turning. The exchange information was catalyst, and taught you about life in the Crystallorium. I've only done, I think, 3 of their quests. Here. So I still got like another 2 quests. I'll get to it eventually. Between now and the heat death of the universe. Yeah, I think I'll just do like the introduction quest line, and then I'll call it an episode. Purple tree. I wonder if the greenery came with the Crystallorium, or did they have to plant the greenery, considering everything around is purple? Now we got every one of them attuned. New to the city, friend. The spinning head and wide eyes give you away. Welcome, my name is Braggy, and I'm the master of these markets. They gave the district another official title, but I'm not in the habit of using it. Too florid by half. In any case, our merchants stock a range of equipment for draw-on, such as yourself, so finding something in your size shouldn't be a problem. Something wrong. Let's see if we can straighten this out. See those two in front of us? The shorter one is a hume, and the taller one is an elf. The sturdy individual there is a Gulgent, whereas the one with the horns is a Drahan like you. And then you have the large scaly chap with long tails and a knack for raising livestock. Those would be the Zune. Which apparently not the name you know them by. Now I'm curious to know which far-flung region you hail from. Ah, the same as the XIV, eh? Well, that explains it. You don't get much further flung than that. We have a few of your lot passed through in recent years, and despite their obvious learning, they floundered over the simplest things. But not to worry, should you find yourself confused by the local language or customs, I would be here to answer your questions. Your exchange with Rodriguez who taught you the peoples of the first. You don't talk about yourself for the funny people, do ya? Well, how did you fare? Did my colleagues help you form a clearer picture of this world and its people? An account of the Exarch summoned the Crystal Tower and the city built by the refugees who sheltered there. An account on how the Warriors of Light caused the flood, which later led to the appearance of the Sin Eaters. An account of how the races of the Source are known by different names in the first. It seems you were treated to a most thorough introduction. I understand it was something of a chore, but it was necessary that you grasp these things before we proceed. As for the Crystal Tower's origins, you may have noted the detail were sparse. The structure is, in fact, the self-same one known from the Source, transported to the First in its entirety. It was my first attempt at breaching the boundaries between worlds. Something of a trial run for your eventual crossing. And although I do not know which era I tore it from, I do know that its arrival served to set the wheels of fate in motion. No, I don't want you to wait in that! Hey, sword that carried me burdens! That's gonna be it for this episode. And I'll see you all in the next. Hopefully next time I'll remember the timer.